Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and with iLLeY indicating that his imminent return is seemingly proceeding as planned. Ramo has also said though from the OpTic side that the one key thing they were missing in their disappointing Major 3 run was his leadership in these critical moments. They believe they do need him back if they want to turn the rest of their season around. Very much enjoying your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really ups to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one today. Pretty big day in the Call of Duty world because we're getting the reveal, it seems. And he said, well, it's going to be a reveal to some degree. You guys know how these reveals are, not really sure that much. For Modern Warfare 2, probably going to be a campaign-esque type thing, but we'll get some information on movement mechanics, like how things are going to look for the game, maybe what weapons are coming back, these type of ideas. Alright, now what we might be seeing for the competitive side of things here in, of course, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, that we might be playing in the competitive scene for 2 years. That is the going rumour. The Treyarch game, which would of course be coming out next year, is going to get delayed 1 year further back. Modern Warfare 2 is going to be a 2-year title, I guess the first time in COD history, but of course in the second year we've kind of theorized, could it be that they do a remastered game in order to push sales, they make the CDL play that instead? That's also another option, but we're going to get some information later on today it seems. Now Standy, of course, all the pros, all the guys like Standy who are of course working for the league and stuff, they're inclined to some degree to talk about how promising the game is going to be. As he says here, we're in for something special, he reckons, so we shall see about that one. Like of course, like something special, I guess the fire emoji implies good, but you know, something special could be bad, and it's going to absolutely crash and burn. Maybe that's what he's indicating, right? It's a especially bad game. Doubt that's really what he means, but you know, we'll see, right? Because all the early signs are generally that the games are going to be good, and then it arrives, and you know, Activision have duped us again, effectively. Now, there's some rumors actually on what the movement's going to be like, because we heard quite a while ago that okay, not only is there going to be a slide, but there's also going to be like a dolphin dive, and therefore people were wondering, okay, can you slide cancel? Is it going to be the same as it was before? Is the dolphin dive kind of taken over? Some people have said that when you're sprinting, if you hold down the kind of crouch button, you will dive, but if you kind of just tap it, then you'll slide. So, you know, we'll see about that one, I suppose. Now, apparently, a creator that has seen the gameplay has told MW2 Informer that the Modern Warfare style movement has been improved by giving the player the freedom to fire in a variety of situations, opening doors, climbing and descending the ropes, even upside down. So, like, I mean, look, I don't even understand why we would be upside down or needing to climb or descend ropes in. I mean, maybe this is like, maybe he's talking campaign stuff, who knows? But yeah, for multiplayer, of course, like, kind of confirming as well, doors are officially back in business. Congratulations, everyone. But as we looked at yesterday, right, there's this whole idea, as yeah, I thought it's kind of funny actually from going to the background here, Modern Warfare 2 looks great, knowing it full well the game still has doors in action. But that's the thing with the map editor we looked at yesterday, that possibly if doors are on certain maps, like, you know, there were some maps, for example, Crash, right? They brought Crash back in Modern Warfare, I'm pretty sure, from COD 4, but they added doors to the map, and it was like, wow, this is a pretty decent search and destroy map back in the day, and now doors kind of ruined it to a fair few extents. They also added like a few other changes to the map as well. So like theoretically with the map editor that is seemingly coming into play, pros could just, or the teams could just remove the doors, and whether we play those maps in competitive or whether like they have to get adjusted for poly match gameplay as well or whatever, probably we can just play that version for competitive play. Like if we want to get rid of the doors, we can probably get rid of them, right? Because that was kind of the key frustration. Like a map like Ramaza, I mean, back in Modern Warfare was just absolutely absurd, right? The amount of doors on the lower middle building of that map, you would just hear absolutely everything. It was honestly a nightmare to deal with, and theoretically we can just remove the doors that don't make much sense for competitive in this title, which hopefully is going to be a positive thing. So yeah, the game might have doors, but if we can get rid of them, it might be okay. I don't know. I'm trying to stay as optimistic as I can do. Let's talk about then potential of where Champs is going to be, but also other major events going forward. We looked briefly yesterday that the way the CDL decides is that teams will kind of pitch their tournament to the league. The CDL will review it and say, okay, let's do one here, because, you know, imagine if OpTic's pitching one, they probably want to choose the OpTic one just because they know they're going to get fans, revenue, like it's going to be a big event compared to maybe other teams that could host one elsewhere. But of course, at the same time, they probably want to think about, okay, well, this team hasn't hosted one, this country hasn't hosted one in quite some time, maybe let's do one over there, right? So Pred, of course, having now won an event, being the MVP of Major 3, says we need a major tournament back in Australia. There's been a few tournaments there back in the day, like the Crown Melbourne Invitational, but no real like proper events with all the pro teams all across the world flying in and having a massive tournament like, of course, we just had a Major 3. Having that on Australia, that'd be really cool. Chrome team's kind of down for it as well. Now, this was the other question about Champs in London. People have been talking about this since 2019 when they had that incredible CW London 2019 event. I'm sure some of you guys attended, as of course I did as well at the time, and at the London one in the next year, 2020, like when the CDL launched, it was not the same at all as what Gfinity put on back in 2019. But I'm sure we can replicate that again if Champs is in London. Now, it seems like MLG, or Esports Engine as they are now, are actually really keen on this. I didn't screenshot this because I didn't expect the tweets to be deleted, but Ben J. Nasim said in this thread that he's actually been pushing pushing for for champs to happen in London. Now, of course, like effectively, it's not going to happen this year. It seems. I highly doubt that they're going to get our hopes up for this for no reason at all. Even as Miles Ross says, good to be back in the UK. As you can see, the Thames right here, he's over London. Now, as Merc says, setting up champs. Thank you very much, man. And Hex says champs in London would be lit. Would be the best event of all time. Says Nameless. Now, Adam aBeZy came back to this and said that he's actually been trying to make that happen, or at least he's been pushing for it, or whatever. Those are effectively what the tweet said. Now, both of these got deleted from the Esports Engine guys. So kind of interesting stuff. Maybe it's just because they thought that it was giving too much hope to European or UK fans that it was going to happen this year, because I doubt that's the case. I imagine they've been planning it for quite some time. The rumor has it it's going to be in Las Vegas or something this year, the World Championship. But yeah, apparently Esports Engine is saying that they've been pushing for and indicating, like I think he said something about the kind of like the production team they have in the UK that would be perfectly positioned to produce the World Championships in London. So to a degree, getting the hopes up that if it's not this year, it might be next year when Champs is in London. But we can only hope about that one. And this I thought was also rather interesting, because MLG Columbus 2016 legendary Counter-Strike major back in the day that MLG put on. Adam aBeZy, of course, reminiscing over that one. But yeah, you do have to wonder where the MLG branding is, because right now, of course, Activision owns it, but Adam aBeZy and the guys are no longer part of it. They've started their own thing. But theoretically, Activision could start to use that branding again for something, because it's kind of just sitting there dormant right now. What is a legendary and iconic esports branding, to be honest. So always thought that was rather interesting. Before we talk about iLLeY and the OpTic stuff, wanted to mention this real quick from Clayster. Some more action really here from the Passion Pit. Check the bomb, brother. He says, he was getting up, getting rowdy. You know how it goes. Now, actually, I thought, Anita comes back in the reply, Spart's mother, and she says, this is priceless. And Clayster goes, it was fun getting hyped with Chris. He's got a bright future ahead of him. Kind of an interesting statement, right? Because it certainly implies this statement that they're not going to be teaming together going forward. He, of course, was on their challenger team at Major 3. So what's going on here, right? Because they had a decent performance top 6. I wonder whether they decide, okay, that's maybe not good enough. Let's split apart, do something else, or Spart moves on, goes to another team, whatever. We're not really sure what the roster mania looks like in the pro scene and also in the challenger side. But yeah, certainly implies they might not be teaming with each other going forward. And of course, the other implication of that might be that Clay has been recruited, let's just say, to the league. We talked about it yesterday, that some teams might be looking at Clayster's services. Maybe this is an indication that, he's maybe got some offers on the table. We'll follow the story on that one for sure. Of course, speaking of Clayster, this is what iLLeY said back in 2020. Couldn't have asked for a better leader. And iLLeY seems to have kind of learned a fair bit from Crimsix, from Clayster, when they were together on that team, because he comes into this OpTic squad effectively intending, effectively relied upon to be the in-game leader for the squad. He tweets this out last night with a kind of egg timer emoji. I think in America that people call it an hourglass, so I think this is an hourglass sensor. Maybe I'll call it that rather than an egg timer. I feel like that's a bit outdated, but no, you guys from the UK will certainly call this an egg timer, I'm sure. But effectively saying, look, soon enough this is going to happen. We saw some indication from Rambo a couple of days ago, but yesterday actually, that he effectively said, look, and iLLeY has said on Hex's vlogs and stuff like this that there's basically a procedure that he's going to have to work through going in Texas over the coming days. I imagine it's either, maybe yesterday or today or tomorrow or something, where he's going to have a small procedure done, to which point it should be okay. The MRI scan, as I'll just share real quick from what Rambo has to say, indicated that really there's nothing major going on here. Just this small procedure should make everything perfect again, at least with a little bit of time. And because there's at least a couple of weeks and a bit till they play again, they're very confident he will be back in time. But also indicating that some of their failures at Major 3 was mainly due to in the pressure situations when the pressure was on, iLLeY as the IGL not being there to kind of calm the troops.
And I don't care about our problems, obviously iLLeY not being there playing. Byron's an extremely capable player. I felt like we had all the tools to succeed this weekend. So there's no, I hate excuses. Yeah, sure, the situation isn't ideal. We don't have our starting lineup, or one of our players injured. We have to, there's a lot of things we could say, but to that extent, no, dude. We did extremely well online. Our practice has been looking very much like we had in there. There's the biggest thing we're missing is really Ender's IGL. If there's anything that I feel like we're really like that are extremely glaring, like obviously Ender's technical ability is really strong as well, but on that sense of really things that I feel like are needed to win a tournament, that's really the one that kind of stands out to me. But I feel like we've done extremely well online without it, and I feel like a lot of players have been stepping up. And it's hard, maybe it's a little harder to step up for players. When we're comfortable, it's easy for everyone to step up vocally, but maybe when the pressure came up and the matches and the event, there's always a little discomfort there when you're playing without your starters. But regardless, Byron played extremely well this weekend. His first event ever, his first proper CDL event on main stage. I thought he handled it really well. And it's really just on us as a team. We just didn't show up, and that's simple as that. We're pretty optimistic that this will help, because what the imaging from the MRI he's done a few weeks ago has shown has really shown that like what's really going on, and it's nothing crazy again. It's just something that's like that kind of something needs to be done about it. And so the beauty of it is that we have 18 days before we compete again. Definitely going to take this week off for everyone to reset mentally.
So there were certain situations, clearly, without iLLeY in the team, with Predator in the team, where they did show some significant resilience and composure. For example, down 2-1 here against the Florida Mutineers. The fact that they won this Berlin hardpoint was very impressive, given the hole that they were in. But when it went to a Game 5, they went on to lose that Game 5, right? And I feel like there was a few situations where they went Game 5 against teams like this, Los Angeles Thieves as well. And there was a few situations when they got to the kind of deciding map of the series, they kind of fell short a little bit, right? We saw it in the Los Angeles Thieves series most certainly. Now, look, they did have some composure. They went down 5-1 against London and brought this one back to win it 6-5, right? That was incredibly impressive, with, of course, Predator in the team, not iLLeY. But in a series like this, I'm sure they felt the pressure was off a little bit. At this point, they're already guaranteed top 8. They're 1-0 up against London in a pretty dominating fashion. I'm sure they felt pretty confident they could pull something like this off. So it's not like they had no composure at all without iLLeY. But I feel like in the Los Angeles Thieves series, that was really where they were tested to their utmost, right? They went up 1-0, went up 4-1 in the search and destroy. The Dashy situation happened where they fell off the map, and like they had to regain to that point, right? And it was going to be difficult for them to be able to do so, and they made mistakes in many rounds after that to end up losing the map 6-5. And that's where a team needs its leader in the game, especially you start off the control, you lose the first round of the control, things are going to get a little bit frantic, right? Yes, Rambo can talk to you between maps and say, like, calm down, guys, let's just go again, forget about that one, move onwards. But like, all of a sudden it's going to get in some of the players' heads, I'm sure, when you find yourself in that situation, starting to lose the control, going straight back into the next hard point, and you're probably going to need a bit of a voice to make sure the guys are composed going into the remainder of the series. And iLLeY seems to be that guy for the team, and without him in these kind of pressure moments, like, I do wonder what would have happened if they had won this series playing Toronto, or even going on to play like a FaZe or something. Who knows what could have happened there. Like, when it went down to a Game 5 relevant situation, like, iLLeY seems to be a factor that's going to help them get over the line here, right? And Prolude, definitely a very talented player, but they rely, I think, seemingly pretty heavily on iLLeY to provide that element to the team. Scump's never really been that guy in his career. We were talking about Envoy last season, how he was kind of required to do it as well, and this season iLLeY's effectively taken up the mantle. There was a lot of pressure on him to deliver. He did exactly that stage 1. Since then, of course, without him, they've kind of struggled. So Rambo reckons they need him back effectively, and well, apparently, according to iLLeY himself, he's probably making it happen as well. Just to mention this before we close out the video, I thought this was kind of cool. From the breaking point one, you can only pick one team. So team A, B, C, or D, which is the best one. So you get your iGel, your OBJ. If we're talking about like players in their prime, I feel like C is just really, really good. But I mean, let's look at this. Ix and TP, what a legendary duo. Hydra and Arcitys, I kind of like how it's a mix of like old school players and the kind of newer gen guys. We've got Nation on the OBJ here, but I feel like if I look through the OBJ, the no-brainer is Karma kind of being the best of the bunch here. Like, I think TB was probably a pretty underrated player, and Replays maybe as well. But Karma at his prime is just like, this guy's unstoppable. Clayster is probably the best of the IGLs, to be honest, right? So already, Team C's taken 2 of the scalps. Then we look at the SMG, and aBeZy, it depends on what game, of course, you want to play. In Vanguard, maybe he's not quite the player he was, but still, he's pretty much the best of the bunch out of these lot as well up there with, Shotzi in this title, Hydra as well, Pred, of course, definitely deserves a mention, but, across all titles, aBeZy, might have to be your pick from this SMG line. And then in terms of ARs, like inside, of course, maybe he falls a little bit short in terms of his overall career to a guy like Arcitys, and it might be a bit of a mess having him and Clayster on the same team, whereas Karma and aBeZy would have to run the SMGs all the time, and who's going to flex in situations, it might be a little bit difficult to say. That's why it might be better to go for a team like A, when you have a lot of potential SMG options on the team. So difficult one, but to me, the talent on C is just too strong to avoid. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button and tell us YouTube gods, this is a good video, and also like you should see it as well, and I hope grow the competitive core legendary community. Thank you for watching as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.